start cutting out slices of the cake, reduce the number of scoops of on the ice cream, cut from 3 glasses of wine to 1 glass of wine in the beginning. Glasses, just transition out slowly so that the brain doesn't consider it an activity or
So,
a threat that it needs to consume a lot of energy with.
okay, interesting. So you're saying that we should be taking it as a gradual, like some people can go cold turkey, or they can, just say, okay, tomorrow I'm doing this, and they empty their pantry, or they pour the wine down the drain and say, no more, I'm not going to do that. But that's, again, I think that's more for willpower. Like if you've got that strong willpower that can last, but I personally don't think that works for most people because you said
Yeah,
it's the brain
agree.
that is going into like this traumatized shock now. It's like, what do you mean you're doing that? And then oftentimes we can turn to something different. Like I found that like when I'm trying to cut one thing out, then I end up replacing it sometimes with something else that's maybe not that healthy either, because usually it's a craving for sugar. If there's sugar is a big one for a lot of people, and I think that's the
Yep.
thing, that we have to really look at. It's like, well, okay, we're not just replacing alcohol, we're not replacing chocolate chips or like chocolate and cake and all ice cream and all that. It's actually the substance that's the addictive part in there that we need to be able to cut out. And that is one thing, to be able to be aware of that and be very knowledgeable about what sugar does to us. And it's that hit of dopamine that makes us feel really, really good. And then in turn, at the end, makes us feel really bad, like guilty and feeling shame and blame, and then getting on the scales and thinking, okay, well, I didn't do so well yesterday, so I'm gonna try again today. But at what point? I mean, sometimes that can go on for so long for people that they just give up. And I think at that point, it's got to be something deeper. And I think to try and to deal with that level of deeper emotion that maybe it's
Yeah.
attached to, whether it's a past, well, most times it is past
Hmm.
event that's happened in our lives, that maybe created or started the issue in the first place, or the relationship that we have or don't have, the unhealthy relationship with food. And I think it also is the relationship that we have with our own bodies, the self-love piece that comes with, really truly loving ourselves and loving our body because of that, maybe that event that took place. So what do you do with people who are like, well, I've tried all that and it doesn't work? And what do you recommend? Because you talked to me a little bit
Well,
about some powerful tools that you use.
yeah, so there are various ways to go about that. So most of the emotional stuff that we're covering up by eating and by doing or taking on other unhealthy habits, comes from trauma, right? So from comes from our childhood, and this is a lot of this is backed up by a lot of studies. So it's not me just coming up with an idea that we all have trauma in our childhood that we are kind of like dragging throughout life. So based on the emotion, based on the triggers, based on the life event
Mm-hmm.
that changed the way we perceive life, there are various ways you can go about coaching. Certain traumas in our lives, they need to be healed by specialists, so you need to go to see a counselor, a psychotherapist, or anything. But there are many other tools that you can use at home, and I use them for myself, and I teach them to my clients as well. And one of the one of the most powerful tools is writing down.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? So there are various ways of going about writing. So you can journal every day, um, for a short period of time. You can journal every day throughout your life. You can journal once a week, um, or you can write letters. So I have
You
a
can
woman
write
in.
write letters, did you say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to share with you. I have a client that I work with, and she is. being on a journey of healing her body and healing her soul,
Mhm.
she realized that a lot of the trauma and a lot of the stress in her life comes from her relationship with her mother, who is still alive. And what she's working on, what we're working on now, is because it is very difficult to uh, when there is a huge difference of points of view, and there is no communication, and there's no bridge between people who are in the same family, but they have strong emotional battles going on between them. One of the ways that we are working to healing her is to write a letter to her mother, and to write several letters to her mother. And this is a really powerful tool, writing letters to the people that you feel had an important um,
Impact, I think.
impact. Thank you. Impact in your life is it's really healing. And you can write letters to people who are alive. You can send them, or you can just choose to keep them or to burn them, or you can write letters to people who are not alive. I have my I was brought up by two fathers. I had a natural biological father and a stepdad, and I wrote, both of them are out of this world, and I wrote letters to them saying everything that I wish I would have had the chance to tell them when I was a kid, and I was
Mhm.
not able to. Asking for what I wanted to, I would have liked them to give me. Uh, Asking for forgiveness, forgiving them. These are really powerful ways to healing your emotions and to healing your past and moving forward stronger and with a different energy. Because unfortunately, what happens is that living with these undealt emotions and undealt feelings is like a chain. It's like living with chains around our ankles, and they're dragging us. And we could be moving through our lives at a different pace with a different energy. And we are meant to be in this world to be thriving, not to be just living from one day to the other.
Consuming and compulsively doing things, whether it's shopping or eating or, and I believe that's so true because all of those past events in our lives, whether we were children, especially when we were children, but also as young adults,
Yeah,
and the things that we go through. I mean, there's nothing better than life to be able to teach us, but at the same time, there's these things that happen to us when our brain is not fully functional. Like our brain isn't completely developed and done, sort of as the adult brain until we're 25 years old. So anything that happens prior to that, especially, can really change the chemistry and what happens to our brains in terms of how we think and the decision making that we do and the patterns that we end up developing and the behaviors that we have. And I believe it also can impact and changes the well, it doesn't, I mean, it does change, but it impacts our physiological body, like the sickness, the illness, the pains and the aches and all of these illnesses that we have going on in our bodies and in society, and the beliefs that we have that
yeah,
have actually stemmed from these events. So I love the idea of writing a letter. So you're saying that we can write a letter to that person, that whether it's asking for forgiveness or forgiving them maybe, but it doesn't have to be sent to them. It can be just a letter that we write, because what happens when we write it, Spaluta? What happens to the brain when we write these things down?
yeah. There is because the the more we keep these things in our brain, the more heavier they weigh. When you write it down, it actually, you're taking it out from your brain. It's a strange way that the brain has, once it sees it down, it's like unloading the burden from itself. And
Mhm.
there are new neural pathways that are created also, and it allows you to access certain parts of the brain that are not accessible until you do that. It allows you to see things in a different way once you write that down, once you have that down and you look at it. And it's like the impact that I saw on myself and on the clients that are doing that is like it's so relieving. It's it's like a magic wand sometimes. You know, you can't believe how powerful this is. And it's really transforming to be able to do that because this is how the brain works. And once you write it down, you take it out, you move from a certain part of the brain to the other certain part of the brain
Hmm.
while going about writing. And this transforms everything in life. And because habits pile up, right? One habit goes to the other, and we accumulate because our life is habits. Yeah, there is a saying that we create our habits, and the habits run our lives.
Yeah,
So
and it creates an entire environment.
yeah, and food is a huge one because food is energetically charged, and once you put the food in your body, everything is affected in your body. It's
Interesting.
your sleep is affected and the way your brain works. And if you don't put the right food in your body, the food that supports you, you won't be able to sleep properly, you won't have the proper bowel movement, you will have inflammation in your body, you will trigger various reactions in your body, or the inflammation in itself will start
Mm.
triggering and allowing space for infections to come in and for bacteria to come in. So there is healing your emotions and making sure that you make peace with your past. It's really crucial for living a healthy life because
Mm-hmm.
if you have emotional eating, if you use eating as a soothing tool, and most of the people who use that are not fortunate like you to cook stew um, as a soothing food or comfort food. You know, most of the people go towards not so supportive foods to soothe
Yeah.
themselves. And then this shows up in the body, and the chemistry of the body is messed up, and gut microbiome is messed up. And if the gut microbiome is messed up, the inflammation in the body is triggered because 70% of our immunity stems from our gut microbiome. And if the food is not proper, we don't sleep properly. If we don't sleep properly, our brain doesn't function properly. If our
That's
brain
right.
doesn't function properly, our whole life is different. We
It's
need to
distorted.
take care.
Yeah, so many ways. So interesting
Yeah.
how it all connects because the fact that we are, we're talking about our food and, comfort food, and we kind of laugh about it and joke about it as your friend or as your enemy. For me, comfort food has been, I generally is my friend. And I think my comfort food is that really good, wholesome plate of food that my mom used to make for us when we were young. I grew up sort of like with lots of gardens and farm sort of life, and it was just, the best meals that anybody could ever ask for. Sitting down at the table with my entire family, which a lot of families don't do now. And
Yeah.
so for me, that's a very comforting sort of memory and a thought and a connection that I have attachment to my comfort food. So it's that full, square meal, if some people want to call it that, but it's just that, the meat, potatoes, and the vegetables, but all still very healthy. So, like, yes, I'm
Yeah.
fortunate, and to be able to say that that would be my comfort food. Not to say that I don't have some not so healthy comfort foods or comfort crutches, if you will. So, Lida, with all that, the letter writing, I love that idea. And I think that that would be much like on someone that has a much deeper level. Like, I think when it comes to the emotions, and if they're trying to break a habit of how they're eating, and if they feel that it is attached to something that maybe an event that happened in their past, or something that they cannot seem to let go of in their life, I think that would be a very useful tool to do. And would you say that a letter even to ourselves would work?
Oh, wow. Well, I think because everything starts with ourselves, and as you said, with our relationship with ourselves. the first place to start healing is start healing yourself.
Mm.
And writing a letter to yourself is as powerful as writing a letter to anybody else, because you and I were fortunate to be brought up by people who loved us, right? And not everybody was fortunate to be in families and in environments in which love was present, right? And we made we took decisions throughout our lives. I was fortunate to have an amazing mom who loved me and cared for me and who guided me. But at a certain age, I started going crazy. I was a teenager and my hormones started driving me, and I did things that I'm not proud of, right? And I they hurt me, and I because they stuck with me at a level that it's not like a funny memory. It's something that I feel ashamed of. It's something that I should be forgiving myself for, and I should be releasing it so that I make place for something new to happen and for the new energies and for the positive
Right.
things in my life, right? So writing a letter to ourselves is as healing and as powerful as writing a letter to anybody else. And
That is
it can
that.
spare so much money spent on counseling and so many years of trying to figure out what's wrong with you and trying to to move you further from the with the support of other people, because the first place you need to start with is yourself and understanding. And
I love that.
I know
I
people
love
who say,
that. It is.
I, I, I have no problem with myself. I had a happy childhood and everything is went well for me. And I tell them, just start writing down. See, think of something. There must be something that went wrong in your life. There's nobody who went through a happy life without anything. So start writing down. And the moment you start writing down, once you shut out your conscious mind and you allow for the unconscious to be transformed in the paper, you will be surprised of how many things come out and how many things
Absolutely.
you uncover that you're holding on to.
Absolutely, because when you don't realize until you do start writing it, because I do write, and I journal, and I cannot believe sometimes what comes out. Even if I'm angry, like it doesn't have to be anything like something from the past or something major. It might be that you're upset and you're just like, okay, I need to get past this because I have stuff I need to get done over here. But until I can deal with what's going on immediately, or even why am I stuck? Why am I can I not seem to work through this or focus? And I think that's
Exactly.
part of this too, is that there is sometimes the disconnect in women that they don't even realize what they need, and if we can start implementing, just a simple tool like that. And I know that we could go into many more, but you're not going to believe it's already 5 minutes to the hour, so the time flies
Yeah.
on here. And we could go into a lot more tools, and I would love to have you come back on and actually maybe we'll talk some more about that, because we have the wisdom of the intelligence and the connection within ourselves to heal ourselves. We all do. I'm
Yeah.
here to tell you guys. And you're
Yeah.
right. We could spend thousands of dollars trying to fix ourselves outside of ourselves, but really it's inside. And I
Yeah.
think just by like you said, trying, yeah, you can do the very simple thing of trying to replace something with a new habit or a healthier food, but that's not always easy. It's a simple thing to say and do, or to say that you could do it, but it's not always easy. So maybe by writing a letter to ourselves first of all, for the forgiveness for that those things that we did, or the shame and the blame and the guilt that we feel. We all have that. We're all women who we don't often put ourselves first. We have everybody else that we need to look after, and we kind of coast along, and we use things to get us through. So whether that's our food or our substance,
Yeah.
or just putting ourselves on the back
Yeah.
burner, and all of a sudden we're like, what happened? You know? So I love that idea about writing the letter.
Yeah.
So
And
Salita, thank you.
telling ourselves to writing to the little child in us and telling ourselves that I love you. I'm here for you. I'm not gonna let anything wrong happen to you. I promise I'm here for you. You're
That
safe. You're...
the inner child relationship that we all should have, because there's so much knowledge around that, and so much scientifically proven research that's been found and factual, that is, it very much is a helpful tool for us to understand, to know that we have this inner child within us that we need to nurture and that we need to love, and in turn
and needs to be
enable.
safe.
Mm-hmm. And enable us to have good relationships and positive relationships with everything else that we do in life and with other people in our lives. So thank you very much, Saluda. That is amazing. If you want to know more about what Saluda has to offer and how she may be able to work with you, if you're interested in that, or if you want to be able to follow her, she gives some amazing little videos, or posts some amazing little videos, short tips of different things that you can do, from little short exercises, breathing work, meditation and things like that. Go check her out at 8 Glasses of Water on Facebook and also on Instagram, and be able to say, maybe break free or break through some of those things that you might want to change in your life, if you could wave that magic wand. Or maybe there's something big that you'd like to, to start in your life, and, why are you stuck? Just how to get unstuck, things like that. And like you, I love working with women. I love helping people, and just touch on the whole accountability part. I think that's one of the biggest things that I do, and one of the biggest things that I believe in. I don't think that none of us, yes, it starts with ourselves. It's inside of us all. But in order to really be super successful, and, be able to achieve the dreams and achieve everything we want, it's support, and it's support like yourself, support within this group, and having somebody hold you accountable, because we all need accountability, because sometimes to do it on our own, it just seems like we'll never get there. And
Hold you accountable and hold your hand also.
Yeah, I love that. So thank you so much. I really, again, appreciate you taking the time today. And go find Saluda at 8 Glasses of Water.